calling people through power fiber optics on the flying modem. Casual gamer that likes to play competitively. It's been a minute. A lot has happened. Let's try to get right into it. So AMD's Ryzen or R7 1800X, 1700X, and 1700 CPUs have been released for pricing and specs and so on. So I wanted to give my thoughts on it because I see a lot of the same things. A lot of people really interested in the 1800, which they should be. It's a really good CPU. A lot of people are looking at the value of the 1700, which they should, because there's a lot of value in the 1700 with its aggressive pricing to the i7 7700K and so on. A lot of people aren't really praising the 1700X. And to me, that's kind of a mistake. So in the background, you're going to see some slides of basically the 1700, the 1700X, and the 1800. And basically, I'm using these slides to get my point across. You're also going to see some slides of pricing for vendors with Micro Center. You're also going to see a slide of people selling or reselling their Ryzen CPUs on Amazon and various other places for ridiculous amounts of money compared to what Ryzen R7 1700 to the 1800X is supposed to be retailed at. So that being said, the 1800X is supposed to be $500. Let's just say that. But as you can see in this slide, there's somebody selling the 1800X for almost $800, $1 off, right? So this is the kind of things that AMD should have battled against, and they didn't battle against with their pricing. This is one of the things I feel like AMD fumbled the ball on. But when you look at this slide, the 1700X outperforms the 6900K as well. Not by a lot, but it still outperforms the 1700X. The 6900K. So the 1800X outperforms the 1700X, obviously, for $100 more. But the delta is like 5%, at least in these slides. And Cinebench, R15 or whatever it is, C15, whatever, the 6900K performs 9% less than the 1800X and 4% less than the 1700X. So there's a 5% difference between the 1700X and this benchmark and the 1800X for $100. That's a premium. One of the reasons why we don't like Intel's CPUs and their prices and so on for what they're charging is because it's such a premium. So not only do you have people selling your CPUs so high because you priced it the way you did, but now you're also charging us a premium for 5% performance. I would have been okay with the 1800X being priced at $450 and then the 1700X being priced at $400. Because just like the 1060 3GB versus the 1060 6GB, you have like a 5% performance difference, but like 3GB of memory difference, right? But it's like they perform within 5% of each other, and that's a $50 difference. Most people, are cool with, paying that and so on, and I would have been okay with that as well. So if 1800X was priced at, $450, you would have given a, heavier hit at Intel because more people will buy it. And when you go to the Micro Center, I'm not sure if I include that slide, but at Micro Center, they have the CPU listed for retail at $550, and right now it's at a discount of $50, so now it's at $499. So these are the things AMD should have combated against and could have combated against, but didn't combat against with their pricing range. They're offering great performance. They can charge what they want. Sure, that's not the argument. The argument is when you have people charging $800 for your CPU, when you have, Intel cutting their prices. They was charging almost $400 for their 7700K. They dropped that down to $300. So now your 1700 is $30 more than Intel's, flagship mainstream CPU. And if I was on an Intel platform and I was really interested in switching over to Ryzen from what I was seeing and everything, and I started doing calculations, okay, so I can pay $329. I can get like $100, board, and about $400. If I was choosing between upgrading to the 7700K versus the 1700, and it was roughly around the same prices to switch, to upgrade, then I would go with Ryzen. But now Intel has lowered their price to $300. So even if you pay $330 for a Ryzen CPU, not including tax, and $100 for a board, that's $400 and like almost $50 when taxes included and stuff like that. Plus shipping and handling if you don't get it from like a store down the street. So now it's gonna cost somebody an extra $150 to upgrade. They're not gonna make that upgrade. It doesn't make sense for them to make that upgrade unless they really want to, when there's a 7700K for $300. It just doesn't make sense. And this is how Intel fumbled the ball. You see, if they had priced it way more aggressively, and maybe not even more, like way more, but like slightly more, if they made the 1700, $299 or $275 or something like that, and made the let's say they want to charge that extra $100 premium for the 1800X. You can put the 1700X at $350. But what I'm trying to say is their pricing range wasn't a good idea. So the next way they fumbled the ball is not having their entire lineup. So if you was waiting for Ryzen to be released, you've probably heard that the R5s will be released sometime the Q2 of 2017, and then the R3s will be released the second half of the year, sometime within the second half of the year. So that can mean like late, holiday, 2017 holiday, or the third quarter of 2017 for R3s, which is their 4 cores and so on. But even with that being said, it's like people who were waiting on this now have to wait even further when they don't want to buy the enthusiast chips. And because they don't want to wait, they're going to go with what Intel has to offer. And with Intel cutting their prices, it's looking a lot more appealing, especially when you don't have that market share to compete with Intel. So you needed to have your whole lineup, or you needed to give them something to wait for. And you really didn't give people much to wait for. You put Ryzen, the R7, on Front Street, and then you have press releasing details about the R5 and R3 and how they should be priced and so on, and what they're supposed to compete against. But most people don't even know about that. And the only reason I know about that is because I went looking for it. And a prime example, I'm actually about to build a computer for a friend in like a week or so, or something like that. And we were waiting for the R3 or the R5. And what ended up happening is he didn't want to wait. So you didn't price it as aggressively as you should have, and you don't have your whole lineup ready. And now, because of how you chose to do this, you have people reselling your chips for ridiculous amounts of money. You have retailers adding an extra $50 on top of that, and it's just like, wow. Now, compared to Intel's offering $1,000 and up, it's well worth it. But at the same time, AMD, you could have done better. You could have done so much better if you had all of your offerings on, like, ready for March 2nd. For all the people who are interested in switching and so on, was ready on March 2nd, you would be in so much better shape. If you were priced more aggressively, even if Intel dropped their prices for their mainstream, you would still look very appealing. And right now, you're just not looking as appealing, except for the people who just want to upgrade, that has to upgrade. So for the people who haven't switched to Skylake, and for the people on your platform already, we already have to buy another motherboard. We already have to buy another CPU and this and that. So we're still in, but if it costs less to switch to Intel than it does to switch to Ryzen at this current time, you're going to miss sales. You can't afford that. Like, you're not going to go insolvent after this, but you want market share. Why aren't all of your offerings on the table right now? You fumbled the ball. Now, on top of all of that, all the hype around Ryzen isn't available right now. This is just like Grand Theft Auto, when all the hype was around doing a heist online with your friends, and now the multiplayer wasn't even available until like, I think 2 weeks or a month later. No, it was 2 weeks. And then like after a month, it got stale. Now they kept adding updates to it and free stuff and whatever, but heist wasn't even available until later on. And then when it was available, it wasn't what we expected. So it's like, matter of fact, I'll end on this. One of the main things people were looking forward to, because if you bought an 8350 or 8370 in the past few months, a year or something like that, they've been offering their new Wraith cooler. Everybody knows the new Wraith coolers are really good, right? You have a new Wraith cooler called the Wraith Max or something like that, and it has RGB and stuff like that. The RGB craze is going crazy right now, and you fumbled the ball. You're not even offering that with the CPU. There's 2 SKUs, and most retails, and I shouldn't say most, because all retails I'm looking at don't have the multi-pack SKU available. And even if it's going to be available later on, again, you don't have it ready for March 2nd. You offer pre-orders for just the CPU, and you don't have all these things ready. You should have all these things ready. I'm still excited for Ryzen 7. I'm still going to buy either the 1700X or the 1800X. I really don't want to pay that $100 premium for a 5% difference in performance, but maybe I'll just swallow that, that stone and just buy the 1800X. But yeah, I'm kind of disappointed in AMD for charging that premium, for fumbling the ball like this, for not executing as well as they should. It just sucks. So with all that being said, man, it's been a Flying Modem. Casual gamer likes to play competitively. Apologize for the long video. Didn't expect for it to be this long. So with all that being said, man, I'll catch y'all on the next one.